stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Frickin' brr. 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 Hi, Amber. Amber says, fuck my balls, it's cold. It is. You are not wrong. It's cold out there, man. We've actually been pretty fortunate this winter. Yeah. As long as it snows in the high country, that's what matters. You know, otherwise, a lot of states don't get water. That would be Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, maybe Mexico, maybe New Mexico, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, Idaho, Iowa. There was a lot more than I thought. Yay, I know my states. Thanks for not failing me, education system. Good afternoon. I'm wore out. Thankfully, I still have my brain. I'm in a pretty good mood though. But Jupiter has moved out of Virgo. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, man. This is Virgo's time. This is Virgo's year, man. Virgo and Pisces. If you listen to that and believe all that. I believe it to the point where it's true. That's the rumor anyway. Jupiter is leaving Virgo. And what they're talking about is, yeah, things kind of seem confused. For me, over the last few weeks, life has become a little bit more clear. I'm seeing things for what they are, man. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Yeah. Figure I go with Purple Rain today. Been a while since I wore my Purple Rain shirt. I usually save this for colder days because it's a thicker shirt. It is 14 degrees. It's not that bad. And my finger is feeling it. Oh boy, is it feeling it. It is not happy with me. I'm going to be having surgery on my middle finger. When are we doing it? Well, I wrote down the time, so I didn't write down the date. I think the 10th of February is when it is. And then I won't be able to use this finger for 6 weeks. That means all the stuff that I do here, I use my middle finger, my right hand middle finger a lot. So we'll see what happens. You know what? I'm sure I'll adapt. I'm sure that I will figure it out. I will finger it out. As an old, very horrible saying. We're going to take our jokes from Scary Mommy today. Unless, of course, they throw a bunch of ads at me, in which case I will find somebody else, find a different place. All right. So, yeah, I don't know that I have much more to say before we get started on the actual topic. And, you know, sometimes I forget that maybe I should explain myself a little bit on what I'm doing and what flipping tables actually is. A lot of people tend to think that I'm going to these places angry, and that's not the case. We are there to stop division. We are there for the right thing. And sometimes we don't know what that right thing is until we get there, right? Yesterday, I went to the meeting. I had some expectations. I was expecting some things. I was incorrect. I thought I was going to have to bring up some things, but the community did it for me. But we'll get into that once we get going, because I know some people were curious as to what happened, what's going on. Really, it was just okay. Anyway, you know what time it is. This really needs to quit moving around. It is fucking with me. I mean, it's like add here, then move, add here, then move, then, and it just keeps jumping around. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, when I just met with a sponsee and we were both like, man, I'm kind of tired. I'm like, are you tired? He's like, yeah, I'm tired. I said, but you know what? We ain't hungover. I love working with sponsees. I've been waiting on this one. He finally said it. He said, Dion, I woke up the other day and everything just felt different. Yay, third step. I love watching the third step take effect. It is for me. It's probably it's a pivotal moment in recovery. And the fourth step is only as good as much as you are willing to turn your life over to the care of a higher power. Right. And it happened. So awesome. Right. Of course, I brought it up. I'm like, hey man, that was you've made some progress. All right. Usually they have a little bit of angst and things. Not today. No, everything was like, yeah, I'm tired, but so what? That's life. Yes, that's what we're going for. So good job, sponsees. Good job to everybody. Fucking, I'm proud of a lot of people, man. I really am, including myself. I did some very hard things this week. And it is not easy for me to go to that meeting alone. Okay, and I wasn't alone. God was with me. And to get through it and to speak up, to be, it was kind of, well, we'll cover it. Anyway, just saying a lot of progress this week. Good job on everybody. Let's get to it. Do you know what time it is? It is not just 1:38 in the afternoon because Dion slept in. I also went to bed kind of late. I always need to decompress. I didn't get home until 7:30. And you guys are probably like 7:30. That's early. Yeah, not for Dion. All right. So it's time for Dion's daily funnies. Even though they are not Dion's funnies, he steals them from other people. If I told you my own jokes, you'd be like, Dion, just get to the topic. All right. What did the zebra say the first time he saw a piano? Dad? Why do chicken coops have 2 doors? Because if they had 4 doors, they'd be chicken sedan. I knew it was going to be something around that. How do you get a squirrel to like you? Act like you're nuts. No wonder I attract so many squirrels. Or no wonder I attract so many people with ADHD. That's an even better joke. Here's what I just made it up. How do you attract somebody with ADHD? Do you see that squirrel? Oh yeah. Wasn't that funny? I liked it. This was awesome. Why don't dinosaurs talk? Because they're dead. One more. What did the duck say when she bought a lipstick? Put it on my bill. Put it on my bill. Put it on my bill. Hello? Suddenly it's not working. We're going to do one more joke. Why did the monkey fall from the tree? It was dead. Those were actually pretty good. We might have to go back and do our jokes from what was it? What was it called? Scary Mommy. Oh, what's a cat's favorite color? Purple. All right. Oops, wrong one. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name's Dion. I'm your host. I have been I was gonna say 7 days, but there's 31 days in January. So in 8 days, I will have been going live for 8 years. 8 years, almost every single day. If you're here, please say hello, whether watching the live or the rewatch. To give you an idea, at the current moment, I have 3,172 videos on YouTube. And I did not start going live on YouTube till about 5 years ago. 5, 6 years, maybe 6 years ago. Yeah, I'd have to go look at the first one. Yeah, so it's not even all of them. Been doing this a long time. Long time. I talk long time. I love you long time. Name the movie. I love you long time. I don't know I think I remember, but it was a funny movie, wasn't it? No, I'm wrong. I was wrong. What movie has the line "I love you long time"? Full Metal Jacket. I was right. Should learn not to doubt myself. Oh, from across the pond. Neil, correct? All right, because I don't want to call you Mr. Boring. And I have to admit, I don't quite remember your name. All right. Flipping tables. So yesterday I put out a picture, right? And I said going to flip tables. Now, I will admit that, yes, of course I get angry and things happen, but that doesn't mean I'm angry all the time. All right. A lot of times my passion sounds like anger, but it's also the level of my voice. My voice has a lot to do with it. Okay. This isn't about anger. Okay. What it is, okay. We're gonna do a little bit, and we're gonna have to talk about Jesus a little bit here, okay? But that doesn't mean it's religious. This is just I'm learning too. I'm trying to see where religious people are right. Okay. And I was talking to Pastor Marcia a couple weeks ago, and I was telling her what I was doing, and she brought up the flipping of tables. So I looked into it, and this is exactly what I do. It isn't about anger, but we'll kind of get in this. So I'm going to give you a little background on it so you can see where I'm coming from on this, right? In the Bible, Jesus flipping tables signifies a righteous, passionate, and non-sinful reaction to corruption, greed, and exploitation within the temple. And that's what I'm doing. I am exposing greed, exploitation, and corruption in our temple of recovery. That's what we're doing here. Because I can tell you right now, there's a million wrong ways out there to do it right now. A million. Okay. It has gotten so popular. Okay. Recovery and the money that comes from recovery has become so popular that Oprah is now suddenly an alcoholic. I don't buy it. Narcissist, sure. That I understand. Okay. But I don't believe it. And well, maybe that is true. She's been manipulating people for years. Maybe she is an alcoholic. But see how suddenly, out of nowhere, right? So it is about purifying the temple. Jesus was defending the holiness of his Father's house. Okay. Now, when it comes to recovery, there's a certain level of respect. AA and yeah, we're just going to say AA has done more for alcoholics than everything else combined. Period, exclamation point. Okay. And when we have these people that are clinical who are intentionally going out of their way to remove God from recovery, that's where I have a problem. Do they have to talk about God? No, they don't have to talk about God. But when they're literally taking people away from that because they don't know or they don't understand, I certainly have a problem with it. All right. What is the other thing that I'm doing? I'm breaking down barriers. Okay. When I went to the meeting last night, stigma everywhere. Everybody that talked had stigma. Didn't matter which side it was. It was, all right, so the corrupt practices restricting people, including Gentiles, from approaching God, which prompted Jesus to intervene, right? There's one thing, there's a meme that's out there that I absolutely love. And Jesus is on a rock talking to people. Yeah, he's going to be on a rock. He's talking about people that are allowed to go to heaven. And one person says, even the addicts and alcoholics? And Jesus replies, yes, even people that ask silly questions. Now, that's how he said. He said stupid questions, but I don't believe there are stupid questions. There's just silly answers. See, it's things like that that I really appreciate. So let's talk about what happened last night, just a little bit. I went in thinking that I was going to have to confront Adams County on their very, very, very big lack of communication. That was my main sticking point. That if we're going to do this, we have to have better communication. Well, we got to a point, right? They gave us the breakdown, which I was not. They're talking about another year out. Okay. But that part doesn't matter. Well, it matters very much. So the people in Commerce City, and I get why they're saying this, they're like, once again, you are just bringing something to our area because we are the poor. That was one of their things. The other thing was that the detox was too close to a middle school. Yeah. Valid fears. I wouldn't call those complaints. I would call those fears. And why would I call them fears and not complaints? Because they're not valid. They're not. None of these people will work detox. They can only guesstimate. They can only guess. Okay. Now, I know a little bit about detox. I know a lot about detox. And I know what people do when they get out of detox. They don't go hang out at the middle school. I can tell you that. One of two things is happening when somebody gets out of a detox. They are either going home, going to treatment, going to a sober living, or they are going to seek out their drug of choice. And they're not going to go to the middle school for it. No. See, they also thought this was a safe consumption site. No, that is not what it is. And I'm sorry, I'm not for safe consumption sites. I'm not. I find it very, and that is opinion. I'm not saying it doesn't help, but I think it might harm more than it helps. Okay. So what was the stigma on Adams County? Well, they are putting it in Commerce City, but the only reason that they picked that one because it was the only building that they owned, and there's no money to build a new one. That is the reason. It's the only reason. The other thing is it's right next to the cop shop. Come on. I mean, the middle school is right across the street from the cop shop. I mean, come on. What was the stigma on the other side? That alcoholics and addicts are bad people. See, I walked in and there was a lady there who was very much against it. She had a camera. She was trying to control the meeting. Yeah, when she wanted people to clap, she was like, one girl, she interrupted. I said, shut up, let her talk. We're going to let you talk. You need to shut the fuck up, especially if you're running a camera. You need to keep your mouth shut. Okay, stop. You tell she tried to control. She was the first person that greeted me, and they had this whole thing about why they shouldn't be there. She's like, they already call it the crack house. And I thought to myself, why would you say that to me? Why would she say that to me? All right. And I gave her my phone number. She's like, oh, I'm going to call you. I'm like, yeah, I think she is. All right. Now, when it was I waited. I waited till almost the end to speak my, because I wanted to hear what people had to say. I did. Because I'm like, I'm not here to talk about communication. God didn't bring me here to sit on my hands. He certainly didn't bring me here to do that. So I became Switzerland. I became neutral. Because I understood what Commerce City was saying. The people, even the supervisor, the board was there, the supervisor of the school, the superintendent. Right. At one point, they said, why didn't you tell the superintendent about all this? And Adams County was like, we did. And they did do it. Okay. So Adams County really isn't doing anything wrong in the sense of that they're putting it there because it's Commerce City. That isn't it. There's a need. Not only that, but Commerce City, that area right there, has more drug use and alcoholism in a per capita than any other city. So yeah, we kind of do need it there. I would prefer it was further north too. So what did Dion have to say? Well, first thing I did was tell everybody I appreciated them speaking their minds. Whether we agree or not, I appreciate you speaking your minds. We need to know these things. We need to educate. First of all, Colorado is dead last in recovery services and mental health. Children's mental health. Okay. If you really want to help, start prevention programs. That's where you're lacking. You don't have any prevention programs. Right. Right. Number two is I can understand why the people in Commerce City are upset, because the way this looks is that Adams County went out of their way to kind of pick on you. It feels that way. But the fact of the matter is there's no other building available, and there is no money because of the abuse. Our opiate abatement money was spent on putting roofs on sober livings and sending people on vacation. I shit you not. Like even the attorney general abused it. And now there are people that have committed Medicaid fraud on the opiate council. This isn't right. Okay. So instead of dividing and saying no, let's stop the division. I'm so tired of living in a state where everybody is divided. So if you don't want it there, then you need to put some action into it and help us find a place. If you really do care about the children, Colorado is the number one spot for fentanyl. There is more fentanyl in Colorado because we are the hub of distribution for everything. That's why we have an international airport. That's why we have NORAD, Cheyenne Mountain. That's why there's military here, because we are a hub of communication. NORAD is communication. All right. So then I ended with, instead of debating this, we need to come together as a community and see what we can do so that everybody gets what they need in this situation, not just what we want. Right. And they were throwing out big words and things but it didn't apply. None of this applied. All right. So that's kind of what happened yesterday. Okay. But you're probably here more for other things, So I posted something earlier about this idea of flipping tables. And some people see anger. When I said that, they see anger, and that's not what's happening. Mm-mm. In fact, this is love. This is love for God's children. Doesn't have to do with being right, being wrong. It is about the truth. And what is the truth? In this case, there's nothing wrong with it being right there. Now, the thing is Washington House Detox used to be literally a block away. And they tried to bring up these stats that just didn't fit. They're like, in the last, while that was there, we had this many disruptions. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Okay. Before you even go into detox, if the police bring you, you've been strip searched. You ain't going in there with drugs or alcohol, which means you're not leaving with drugs or alcohol. There's nothing for them to be able to do, right? So, but that's not what's happening. Is Dion kind of angry? Dion's always kind of angry. So that has nothing to do with this. Anger has no, I am perfectly capable of setting aside my anger to have a discussion with somebody. Absolutely. I am capable of that. It took me a while. I had to work on it, but I was able to do it. So it wasn't about emotion, it was about responsibility. Right? God gave me a job to do. Flipping tables isn't anger, it's duty. So, what does that mean? Well, it means God gave me a job to do. It's not easy. I was the only person there from recovery. Oh, the other thing that I said when I started was I had to qualify myself. I said, not only have I been a drug and alcohol counselor and worked in detox several times, but I've also been a client. Actually, I think there was one other person from recovery there. She left before I could talk to her. So they had to be represented. I didn't see anybody else in the field there. I did finally get to meet the person I've been trying to get to, and there was still a weird feeling there, but it wasn't the place or time to take care of that because the community came at them. Oh boy, did they. And they were not nice. They weren't even kind. Okay. And when I was leaving, I went up to Levon and Emma. The head of Adams County was there. The sheriff, the guy that, not deputy, but anyway, I'm like, and I told him, I do not envy you. There's no way I would have wanted to take that on. So thank you for doing that. I'm gonna send another email to them today, thanking them for putting up with that bullshit so Dion can get what he wants. See, I went there and I thought I was going to do one thing, but that isn't what God needed from me. Now, if I would have went along that line with what all I would have done was double down on the stigma, and that wasn't the truth. Adams County is not lying. There are no other places. We have been looking. All right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Because it's not really about that. So I'm just using it as an example. Okay. Now, there's a difference here. Okay. There's a big difference. Clarity or anger. Right. And this is clarity. Right. Thanks, Neil. We needed a little bit of fun here. So Neil says, I was at that meeting. I had on a raspberry beret. Was it the kind that you find in a secondhand store? Yeah, those are the best. Yeah, there was that meeting down at Old Man Johnson's store. Right. So this isn't really anger, it's clarity. I see this for what it is, and I'm not going to sit by idly. Okay. And yes, I do get on the government, and I'm going to tell you why I get on the government. Because the government doesn't belong in recovery. The only thing the government's really giving us right now is division. They want you, even in recovery, it's big business, so they're in on it. Okay. They don't want there's a lot of people in the government that do not want AA to make it. They want it to fail. Right? So therefore, what does that come down to? Control. And I ain't gonna let it happen. No. Stay out of AA. Stay out of recovery. Yeah. Oh, Neil, I knew it was about my t-shirt. I love me some Prince. I've always liked Prince. I remember when we were younger, we used to give my friend's sister a hard time because she was a big George Michael fan. Yeah. Then like 5, 6 years ago, we put together a band and we redid uh Careless Whisper. And it turns out we always liked them, but we didn't want to act. We just wanted to, we wanted to be resistant, right? So it's about clarity. It's about finding the truth because I believe that you cannot find the answer without the truth. That has been presented to me a lot in my recovery. Right now, if I go to that meeting, I start pointing fingers. I'm not going to be able to educate, am I? And that is my job. What is my job? My job is to be of maximum service to God and the world around me. That is my job. How it gets done is not determined by me. And that's where I have to have an open mind so I can see clearly of what need, My job yesterday was to fill in the blanks of things that were being left unsaid because they're hard to talk about. Right? And I can tell you this, I don't want to go to many more town meetings because I could feel the hate. I could feel the hate. There was a resentment against the Adams County government that didn't have anything to do with this. And I could feel it. Okay. Now, these people are from behavioral health. They don't determine this stuff. That is not up to them. They don't get to determine any of that. Okay. We have $3.3 million to put this together. You cannot put a new building together with that. You can't. It's not enough. Because there's a lot of other things that need to go into it. Okay. So what would I call this? A good start. We got to start with something. Even if they just had a piece of shit house. Right. Their other big thing was this. And I don't know why Adams County didn't answer it the correct way. But I said it when I came. They're like, well, if somebody needs medical help, then don't you need to transport them anyway to the hospital? Because they're the reason. They said the reason that part of the reason we're doing this is to alleviate transportation problems with the police and filling up the ED beds or ER beds. Well, aren't they going to need to go to the ER anyway? No. The answer to that is no, they're not. 90% of the time, they're not going to need to. Why? Because doctors are now at detoxes. They are clinical detoxes. They are not peer-run detoxes anymore. That means there's a doctor on duty at all times who writes scripts. The meds are there. They don't need to go anywhere. So the answer to that is no. Why they didn't say anything? But that's the truth. But they were being pounded by a lot of stuff. I kept going, clinical detox. All right. And this could be fun too. It doesn't always need to be bad. And, but when it comes to alcoholics and I say something like flipping tables, you think I'm going out there yelling and screaming at people literally flipping tables. Okay. I'm not Jesus. Besides, those tables were really heavy. And people were sitting at them. Okay. So flipping tables means doing the right thing. Right. So sometimes the calmest thing you can do is to refuse to stay silent. No, it isn't that I don't get angry. It's what I do with that anger that matters. That's all that ever matters. Right? And I didn't bring anger to that meeting. And God even set it up great for me. I got to hit half an AA meeting walking into it. So I had the right attitude. See, God clearly set me up to succeed. Couldn't have gone any other way as long as I was open and willing and honest. All right. So what I want to do here real quick is just kind of read the Facebook post that I put out. And when I did it, the reason that I did it both ways is because some people prefer to read and some people prefer to listen. So I'm like, well, let's give them both. And so that's why I did it that way. I probably won't have going to says hi. That gets you at the right time. Hi, bye. And there she goes. Bye. Oh, Amber, we're so funny. So I'm just going to read this post and we're going to kind of cover it and then we're going to wrap up because we're at 36 minutes here. So when I'm saying flipping tables, people hear anger, but that's not what it is. Flipping tables is not rage. It's duty. I know. I got it. I got to say it. I said duty. Okay. We got it over with. I've said duty several times. In the Bible, Jesus flipped tables in the temple, not because he lost control, but because what was meant to be the place of healing had been turned into a marketplace. The vulnerable were being exploited, the sacred had been monetized, and people entrusted with care were benefiting from the system. Does that sound familiar? It does. Sounds very familiar. So he flipped tables. And that's what I'm doing in the recovery space. Recovery was never meant to be predatory. It was never meant to confuse people who are already hurting. It was never meant to profit off relapse, protect reputations, or keep people dependent instead of free. When I flip the tables, I'm not attacking recovery. I'm confronting what has crept into it. I'm calling out practices that sound like spiritual but cause harm. I'm challenging systems that prioritize image over outcomes. I'm questioning models that grow institutions while shrinking human dignity. And here's the part people don't like to talk about. Flipping tables costs you something. It costs you comfort. It costs you approval. It costs being invited into certain rooms. It costs being misunderstood by people who would rather keep the peace than protect the vulnerable. If flipping tables didn't come with a cost, it probably wouldn't be necessary because this isn't confrontation. It's not just confrontation. It is an invitation. An invitation to return recovery to what it was always supposed to be: honest, acceptable, human, and centered on healing instead of control. Flipping tables is saying, this does not belong here anymore, and we can do better. I'm not flipping tables to burn everything down. I'm flipping them to clear space so something healthier can stand in its place. If this makes you uncomfortable, that doesn't automatically mean it's wrong. It may just mean that you've grown used to being moved. And that's not anger, that is responsibility. And I believe that. I am responsible when anyone, anywhere, reaches out for help. I want the hand of God to be there. And for that, I am responsible. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. It's good to see you, Neil. Appreciate you stopping by. I love you. Are these tables foldable? Because Amber needs foldable tables. Thanks, Amber. I love you. You know I do. Peace out. And remember, no one trudges